welcome to all the living beings out there. Today, you're listening to the fourth episode of a very special podcast, Students of the World. In this particular podcast, we try to connect with the students around the world and try to find out how they are coping and evolving in these unique times. Having said that, let's roll over to our very, very special guest, student of the world, Takura from South Africa. Hi, Takura. How are you today?
I'm all right. I'm doing great. Amidst the circumstances, we're doing actually quite well. I mean, the world's surviving. We haven't done a lot to ourselves yet. We're still here.
Yes. So, for today's episode, Takura is the star. So let me talk more about Takura. So he loves to play guitar and loves hiking. And he is into music production. Now, that is very interesting. Would you like to share some of your experiences? That'll be great.
I'm a classically trained musician. My father taught me, and then I was subsequently taught like numerous other times. So I know how to play the piano, but I'm out of practice. It's been like 2 years now. But like I picked up the guitar just to keep the skills up to date. I've been producing music for since I was 12, and I'm 25. So what's the math there?
Hey.
I think that's 18 years. Yeah, so I've been producing for a while, but it's been like a hobby I've been doing on and off. And as of late, I've taken it up to be my second source of income. So I more specialize on like sound engineering. So my friend and I, we do sound engineering, and she does videography, and we work together, and we have a little thing that we're doing, a production thing we do on the side. But yeah, that's basically what I'm doing.
Takura is so talented though. So let's roll over our first question, Takura, okay? What were the biggest challenges for you in the year 2020 as a student, and how did you overcome those?
So I think the biggest challenge I had into 2020, coming into 2020, was just the approach to the learning that had changed. Because I was so used to, on a Sunday evening, I would do my read for Monday lectures, right? And then the same thing happens. Monday evening, I do my reading for Tuesday's lectures. But then all of a sudden, the timetable was given to me. It was in my hands now. And that threw everything upside down, and I got so confused. And it took a while to like get a handle on it. So initially, I used to just wake up and be like, oh, what course do I feel like doing today? I feel like doing D-Leg. Let me just do some law of D-Leg. Law of companies today. Let's wake up. And very, very for most of the time, but really making it more organized. So I had to become my own lecturer, my own administrator. A lot of these things, I had to take them up myself. So that like became a thing of, okay, wait, Monday, these number of courses have to take place. Tuesday, this number of courses have to take place. And then also them saying, okay, wait, but I still need time to do active recall. I still need to study. So I need to find spaces where I can do that. So yeah, that's basically how I tried. I just became more organized, or rather I became more intentional about my organization, in the sense of I was following the timetable I made to the dot and not trying to deviate from it. Yeah.
Wow, so I like the way you accepted the challenge and the change, and you evolved with it instead of, thinking why this happened, I cannot be part of this, but you change and you talked about the details. That's the fun part. That how you're reading. Yeah. That makes a lot of difference to students when they understand, okay, how you can, be flexible with that, because you cannot change the scenario. So great. And I would also like to tell my listeners that our Takura is an LLB student from the University of Capetown. So it's a beautiful mix of law and music. I like that.
Yeah.
So let me roll over to the second question. Takura, did 2020 help you realize the relevance of our mental and physical well-being? And if so, kindly share a story with us.
That's great. That you asked that question because it's a question that's been it's been like very close to me now. Because 2020 made me realize how important mental health is. Besides your physical being, I mean, the physicality aspect of it, I've always been the student who's always up and down, who's doing all these physical activities. So I've just been that guy who just moves around. So the physical aspect of it was not as, I always had a morning workout or morning routine that involved a workout of sorts. So it wasn't really that part. It's the part about mental health that really like threw me, like it just came at me very hard. And it came at me in a very different way, in a way that I wasn't expecting, because then we weren't going outside. And those same activities you had to go, de-stress and declutter your mind and to give your brain and your mental the time to breathe, that was gone. And you had to then start saying, okay, wait, actually, by the way, what's meditation all about? Oh, what's self-awareness? Well, how do I become my mental? Like, how do I now change the conversation around I feel stressed. How do I process that? Like, it became more a conversation with myself, my mental health, and being able to identify, going back to the timetable, being able to say, actually, the timetable needs to have breaks. I need to be able to, go sit somewhere, take a walk, yeah, that kind of thing. And so I think it really did emphasize my mental health, and I learned more about myself and my mind more than I'd ever done in a very long time. And for once in my entire life, I sat with my mind, and it was quiet, and it was just us talking. So it was a lot, yeah.
I like the way you say I sit with my mind.
Yeah.
That's a great talk. Like if you can really talk to your mind. And having those questions that what exactly meditation means or what exactly mental well-being means, because we hear these terms all the time and everybody's talking like those cliched branded words and we don't even understand what this means.
Yeah.
Until unless we are into a situation which makes us and bounds us to understand the mental well-being. Very nice, Takura, the way you explain this. And I'm pretty sure many students will resonate the way you have just shared your story. So thank you for that. So Takura, my next question to you is, what is your hope for the future as a student?
Well, hope for future, really, I think I on an educational basis, I guess, I would like us to integrate more online technology and more just technology into our education system. Uh, Coming from a partial online, and I'd say online because we saw some internet now as a rule of thumb, but just like that partial basis of then you still go to class, but there's not enough integration with the technology. I feel like that part should be more emphasized. Like other people don't have the mental capacity and their anxiety can't handle being in a physical space. Mm-hmm. So being able to replicate the physical space and then putting it into a digital space, I think that's very important. And I'd like to see that moving forward, because then that caters more for other students who have difficulties with, these kind of issues. And it's very important to emphasize that. And I'd just like to really see like then that same technological education being brought so that we have access. I'm from Africa, and Africa we are an emerging market. We have the access to these resources. We're getting to these places, but at the same time, there's still those that don't have access to just a simple thing as the internet. You have spaces where a 3G connection doesn't exist, and yet we're going with 5G. So it's like I would like to see more access of these educational tools being online, but at the same time, I want that internet to then be accessed by, other individuals that are not as privileged as some of us to get this technology.
Yeah, I like the way you have acknowledged the emerging markets and how you want to be in rhythm with that and understand that how the business around the world works. And that's great, Takura. And I can see that if you have such a logical thought process in the future, you're going to be really successful because you know the points and you're working around, you're aware. That's great. I will give the same advice to all the students around the world, that the most important thing for the students is to evolve with time and be aware of your surrounding, how the markets are working and how the things are there. And as you can say, Takura is not intimidated by it, but he's trying to find out the opportunity in it. So that should be the way we should be thinking, whether it's pandemic or anything in the coming future. We need to find the opportunity in that. So good job. So let me come to our last question. That is, what is your message to the students around the world?
Wow. I don't know. To say, but so little time. But I'll try and be as succinct as possible, and also try to give something that I feel very passionate about. But I think now coming into this position, I'd like to really emphasize our men. And I want to say to all the students out there, guys, we need to emphasize our health is not just, I eat 3 meals a day that are good for me. I go to the gym or I run. I think health is a very so made for more holistic kind of health, and more emphasis on just this thing of mental health. Like, we don't emphasize it enough, I feel, even though we sound like we more use the buzzwords. So I just like to say, like, wherever you are in the world, please consider your mental health whenever you're going through whatever you're going through. Emphasize it in such that whenever you feel some kind of way, acknowledge it, and by acknowledge it, process it, get through it. Because we might want to really get these degrees, we might want to get these qualifications, but don't let it be at your expense. It should still be worth it. Like, you need to come out the whole human being you came out. Education is not about anything else but self-actualization. How are you going to self-actualize when you are not mentally well with us, in a sense? So yeah, I think I'd like to emphasize that. Just if we could really just keep emphasizing our own health and make sure it's holistic. It's not just one dimension. Yeah.
Great. I really appreciate the way you have explained the relevance of mental well-being, and your point of view and your way to look at it is so unique, that how the education and our success is related to our well-being, and both are tied to the same knot. So very well said and beautifully explained, Takura. And this is something which just not the students, but I think even the professors need to understand. Like, all the people around the world need to understand that how well-being is so important, and especially the mental well-being, and how it is so much holistic. And it doesn't have just one parameter, but there are so many things and so many threads which are part of it. So this is something, if the students are able to take away from this interview, that'll be great. And I will literally ask all the students around the world to actually understand what Takura said, because that is very, very important. These are not the buzzwords. This is something which we need to understand, and it's a step-by-step process, as Takura said. So thank you so much, Takura. I mean, thank you for all the information and all your experience. This was our 4th episode, Student of the World, and we were talking to an amazing student of the world, Takura from Capetown, South Africa. So we should thank him for his time. Thank you, Takura. And here we end our show. Thank you for being on the show. Bye-bye. Take care.